to the Cash Flow Show with Dave and Nate, the best place to navigate how to achieve capital appreciation with commercial acquisitions. Here's your hosts, Dave Seymour and Nathan Amaral.
All right, everyone, we are here. Welcome to... What's up, Dave? How's it going?
I'm good, brother. How are you, man?
Awesome.
How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good.
I'm
Good.
doing well on this Friday.
Yeah, Friday, right? Friday. We had to push it back. We had to push it back a little bit today.
Yeah, what happened?
Had a lot of.
I was there waiting. I was like, okay, let me just wait a few hours.
Stop. No, it was a good day today. I was approached by a group. We'll leave it at that. You know, a lot of folks always say, you know, go back on TV, go back on TV. And I'm like, I don't want to go on TV just because I can, right?
Right.
It's not an ego trip. It's got to be something valuable for people to watch. But anyway, I had a really good call that kind of moved us around a little bit today. Group out of California. The idea is kind of like a Shark Tank, if you will, but only for real estate.
Oh.
But I got to meet the rest of the sharks, for want of a better term. Some really good guys,
Nice.
good energy.
Nice.
All doing business at a high
How
level. So.
exciting. Listen, okay, I know this is a little off
What do you
topic. Listen, this how exciting would it be, right? If people brought their deals to the sharks, right? They brought their own deal, and those sharks had to invest in their deal, just like we do at the seminars, right? I mean,
that's exactly the idea. And anybody who's watching this who is a residential flipper, make sure you reach out to myself and or Nathan. What you can do is like a quick 30-second video on the deal that you have.
Oh, nice.
What kind of characters you have on your team, and why we should invest in your deal. Maybe we do a 70-30 on the acquisition, get some hard money together or something.
Yeah.
But I think there's a show in there. I think we can do it kind of like the Brady Bunch as well. I mean, we don't all live on Zoom these days.
Right,
you know
that's so true. That's so true.
Right, you got the 5 sharks in their little boxes.
Yeah, right on top. Yeah.
And you got the picture underneath. I mean, that's low cost production.
It's true, but
the
only thing is you can't present and pitch in your pajamas. That's got to be a rule. Can't pitch in the pajamas.
You got to. But the other rule is this. But now watch. Here's the great rule for me as a shark or the host of the show.
Yeah.
I don't have to wear pants anymore, and I like that.
That's so true.
I do. Nobody wears pants. If you stood up right now, I know you're not wearing pants.
No, I am
right?
wearing pants. No, I literally am wearing pants. No,
nobody on a Zoom call wears pants anymore. It's like flipping the bird to COVID. You know what I mean? I'm not wearing pants anymore. I'll go like that, and then you fuzzy it out. I'm not actually flipping the bird.
Okay, no, I'm kidding.
Don't do it.
Well,
Don't do
everybody, everybody who's watching, by the way, I want to let you know, welcome to the Cash Flow Show. And if you are new to our show, post new in the comment section. Also, if you might have this link above, if you're in a Facebook group, you can click the link and approve your comments so that we can see them live right here on our show, okay? So no matter where you are, if you're on YouTube, Dave, did you know we're live on Periscope? We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. Shall I keep going?
I don't even know what that is. It's great being live, but if nobody's watching, who cares? Right? I don't even know what Periscope is. That goes on a submarine, right? What is it?
No, well, let me tell you. So years ago, Periscope came out, and they were like a live streaming service. That's what they are. They're a live streaming service. Then Twitter bought Periscope and brought them in as acquired them as their live streaming service, but under the Twitter brand. Okay. So, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so anyone who's on Twitter can easily watch our live show, the Cash Flow Show, and then anyone who's on Facebook, anybody on YouTube, yeah. And so I know we're live in some groups and on YouTube, so you could just easily post a comment. We'd love to say hello while you're here, or if you have any questions along the way, stuff that we're talking about, or maybe you just got a really crazy opinion, throw it in there as well, and we'll talk about it.
Are we allowed to have political opinion?
No.
No, we're going to keep it light. We're going to keep it light, but we'll keep it real at the same time.
Yeah.
How was your week? What did you do out there in the Azores?
My week was interesting.
Living in paradise. What have you been doing?
Yeah, this week was really interesting. Monday started off with like a slump, including the stock market, by the way. But we'll get to that in a minute. But
yeah, we will.
On Monday, I lost a deal that had $150,000 in equity. I got overbid on a property. I thought I had it secured and locked in, but Anyway, it is what it is. Maybe the guy will come back. We'll see. It's a unique situation, a divorce situation. Then towards the yesterday, I'm thinking today, Saturday, Thursday, picked up another deal. It's got about 40 grand in equity in it. And that looks like it's going to close by, I don't know, maybe next Friday, probably. I've noticed a lot of title companies and attorneys are closing on Mondays and Fridays, especially Fridays, like with COVID and everything going on. So
Interesting. So you rode the roller coaster of real estate in just 1 week, huh?
yeah, pretty much.
You need, Nathan? You need more cash flow.
More
need
cash
more
flow. That's so
consistent cash flow.
That's right. We need
without any headaches.
Without
That's
any
what you
headaches.
could need,
That's
Nathan.
right. Those were 2 cash infusion transactions.
Got it.
Yeah,
On
absolutely.
top of the regular cash flow. What's the project you're working on? Because you were talking about an investor maybe making a pretty sizable commitment for you this week.
Yeah.
What was that? What's that all about?
So that is one of my cash flow projects, and there's actually that one and another one on the table. But that one particularly is 26 apartments with a mixed-use building underneath the apartments, which is going to be a restaurant, a library, a rehabilitation center, a full industrial kitchen, and that is for an assisted living project. Yeah. And then,
See, let me interrupt you 1 second, just for point of clarity. There's a lot. If folks are watching this show who've come from my side of the equation, if they came through Facebook, etc., they might not know who you are. So I'm gonna give the brief bio. This is my friend Nathan Amaral. Nathan's a full-time real estate investor. He's been a friend of mine for about 10, 11 years now. Quite a while, right?
Yeah, I'm puffing out my chest as you talk about me. I'm puffing out my chest,
Dude,
flexing.
I love you. I love you like the Portuguese brother from the South Shore that I never had. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's a world traveler, and Nathan now is living out in the Azores with his family, his beautiful wife, and his 3 kids.
Yep.
Lives in paradise, does real estate internationally, both back here in the U.S.
3 countries
as well
now.
as
3 countries.
Are you still got stuff in Africa as well?
I got stuff in Uganda. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's got stuff back in Uganda,
Yep.
which is where his beautiful wife is from.
Yep.
You got the stuff going on in the Azores.
Yep.
And
U.S.
the Beffa.
No, that's you. No, not me. I got stuff for the United States investing. A lot of that is in Northern Carolina, South Carolina, Massachusetts, a little bit, but mostly North and South Carolina. A little bit of Texas too. Yeah.
Yeah. So look, as for all the fun that we're having, we got some intelligence here as well. So it's okay to have fun. Here's my new catchphrase. Tell me if you like this.
Right.
With Freedom Venture Investments, we put the fun back in funding.
I love. Oh my gosh. Wait.
You like it?
Wait, hold on. I love the play on words, fun and funding. Right? I love that. I was actually even like processing that probably a few weeks ago, like fun and funding. I like it. But say the beginning again.
Freedom Venture Investments, which is our company,
Right.
has been aligned to put the fun back in funding.
Yeah, I love the fun and funding.
I'm just playing with it.
Yeah, it's getting there. It's getting there. Oh, by the way, Dean, do you know Dean Reed? He's like totally.
I do. I know Dean. Yeah,
he's saying
he's out in.
He's talking you
awesome.
up right now. He just said so much respect for Dave's integrity forever. It's your boy.
Dean's solid, man.
It's your boy Dean.
Dean, reach out to me again, dude. Reach out to me again. There's I'd like to make that connection again. Solid guy.
Nice.
I think in where are you, man? Where is he? Ask him where he is.
Dean, where are you? Wait, Dean, I'm going to turn on my tracking and I'm going to find you right now. No, I'm kidding. Dean,
where turn that thing off on your iPhone,
right?
I know where you are.
Yeah, Dean, where are you at these days?
Yeah, he's out in Utah, I think.
He's out
solid
in Utah?
kid. Good stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
That's what's great about this format. You know what I mean? We get to reconnect.
Absolutely. So you did an introduction to me. Am I supposed to do it back to you or something?
Look, dude, you know my favorite subject is me, and I'm not even Californian. No, I'm joking. All my Cali friends, that's more Los Angeles than anywhere else. No, look, I think your group's pretty familiar with who we are and what we're doing. But if you've got a nice synopsis, I'll sit a while you tell everybody how cool I am.
Yeah, I'll let you flex for a little bit. So guys, I've known Dave about over 10 years, and I met him first when I was working in the seminar industry. And one of the things I just like when you meet Dave face to face, it's captivating. it really is not just because of his size, but he's just captivating by his energy, by his aura, and his presence. Yeah. And so, oh, by the way, Thomas says Dave is the man, just so you know. Everyone wants to talk about you right now. Thomas Souza. Souza, that sounds like a New Bedford name.
It's all these good peeps. Yeah, it's all these good peeps. Good.
So I was captivated by, his presence and everything. And then we eventually ended up working together. Dave, I think that's when I wouldn't say your speaking career, because you were a comedian, right? Once upon a time, Dave?
Oh, some people say I was funny. Some people say I wasn't. I could have been.
Well,
but we were in the education space
we were
together
in the education space.
Yeah.
And we got the pleasure of traveling together, and that was an awesome run. And then you got launched on the show, Flipping Boston, and was that 5 years, Dave? I can't remember the exact time frame. That was a long stint.
Yeah, I mean, Flipping Boston, the actual shooting was probably 4 years, somewhere along those lines, 4.5. Yeah. I mean, we did 4 seasons. We did over 20 episodes, and they weren't the half-hour HGTV type episodes. I mean, we really ripped these houses up and put them back together. So that took a lot of time, man. It took a lot of time.
Yeah, it did. I remember it was like really time intensive. And you guys, I remember, if I recall correctly, you would know the numbers better than me, but you guys were flipping like 4 or 5 properties at a time for that show. I was like, holy smokes. Yeah, it was really busy.
It was intensive.
Yeah. And then we connected through apartments and cash flow apartments, right? That's how we met. So we met in that industry, in that niche of real estate. And that, like all great success roads, they're very windy. So we've wound up, and here we are again. And What I find most interesting is I remember you and I connected last year, and we were talking about catching up on what we were doing, and you're like, oh, I'm about to start a fund, and I'm like, oh, I've been doing like transactional funding, and you're like, I'm doing bigger funding, and I'm like, oh, good, and then we just circle back around, and here we are, and I've been teaching people how to raise money for deals too, and this is why it's such a great synergy, because I know people are looking to expand. There's some passive investors who just want to say, hey, here's my money, you guys do it, you guys are the professionals. Make it happen. And then there's some people who say, well, I kind of want to learn this part-time and maybe try to do 1 or 2 and see how it goes. And so there's all kinds out there, right? And I think that's what makes this great.
I think is the very best. I look at it like this, Nate. I look at fund management and even syndicated deals where you pull capital and everybody's in on one transaction, right? One acquisition. I look at those relationships as partnerships. Right?
Right, exactly.
So although some people say I want to learn it and do it, and some people say, no, I just want the cash flow off of it. For me personally, I think the hybrid of those two, the people who understand the industry, as well as just want the positive cash flow that comes off of it without doing the work, I think they're the best friendships. They're the best partnerships. They're the best investors.
Right.
Because everybody has their eyes wide open when they walk into these transactions.
Right.
There isn't an expectation. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
There isn't an expectation that is set that is not realistic. Watch this. Ready?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, in real estate, you can lose every single freaking penny you have.
Of course.
Okay?
Yeah.
There. It's not like a guaranteed return or anything of those nature.
Right.
So, that's why it's so important that the people that you do business with, you and I, the people that we align each other with, are solid. Like they understand the industry, they understand the asset class, they understand the upside, they understand a professional, fund manager like myself is always hedging the down, accelerating the up. That's the way the game is played at the highest level. So
you made a great point about partnerships, and when you have a partner, like I remember when we started our partnership years ago, right? It was number one, it was trust. Like you just had that trust with someone. Sure. You're putting your trust in that person. I remember you put your trust in me. Remember, I was just that young guy at the back of the room, and I was like, Dave, we can do something. You're like, all right, man. Let's go. Yeah. I trust you. Yeah. You trust me. And that's really important, even in real estate, of course. It's like even more important with real estate because now it's, hey, I'm turning you do what you're good at. I have the capital. Right. I'm turning my trust over to you to make it happen and to make it grow. And that's a great working together, especially if someone, again.
No, you're right on the money, dude. And you got me all jacked up. We weren't even, I don't know why we're talking about this, but we're there, so we will.
Yeah.
Look, I can, as I'm sure you can relay stories where people have been very badly hurt because they make some really crappy choices, right? They make some really shitty choices when they're interacting, right? When they're making investment options.
Yeah.
I remember there was I remember this story because it came up in conversation recently. There was a priest, right? He was a clergyman. He was in, I can't remember the exact states, but we'll say he was up here in New England, and yet he found a house in maybe Detroit, Michigan, or somewhere like that,
Okay.
right? And it was when there was a lot of deals going on. There was a lot of tapes of single family and also commercial asset classes. This was maybe 2009, 10, and we know what real estate was like.
Sure.
I remember meeting this guy, and he said to me, real estate has not been the blessings that I hoped it was, and he was relying on referring to his faith. And I said, tell me more. Just because, right? He bought this house because the property manager was the caretaker or the sweeper upper at the local church in Detroit. And just because this individual was somewhat affiliated with the church, my guy is a clergy, he's a man of faith. He figures the caretaker at this church is a man of faith, and that's enough to send, I think it was $175,000 to this guy because he was going to fix the house for him.
Okay.
And it ended up being that there wasn't even a house there to be fixed. Now, I don't tell that story for any other reason than to say due diligence is critical.
So true.
And we don't only do due diligence.
Yeah. We do
don't only do diligence, right?
Yeah.
On the assets, but in my world, you do due diligence on the fund managers, man.
That's so true.
I mean,
yeah.
Is he really Dave Seymour? Is that really Walter Novicki?
Poke,
right?
poke.
Poke,
Yeah.
right? And then you get, like you said, you get a trust.
Right.
You get a belief.
Yeah.
If you look at my partner's performance in the Gulf Coast, where we focus our attention, okay, I can see that, says the investor. That makes sense. That works. And at the fund manager level, we are always personally accessible to every one of our investors, either in this environment, in the Zoom world, is which we live now, or whether it's get on a phone call.
Oh yeah.
And if it's deal with institutional money, Nathan, you might get on a plane and go meet the representative of the institution. So. Right. It's network. It's the people that we're with for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And you brought up a great point earlier about, like in real estate, yes, you can lose money. With our topic today being stocks and how volatile it is this week, honestly, so yes, I invest in real estate. Do I like to go to the casino a little once in a while and throw the dice? I do. So I have money. I have stocks on my phone. I like to stay up with technology.
Sure, you do.
I have some accounts on my phone. I can roll the dice and, but it's not my primary. It's not my primary.
Right.
Guess what happened this entire week since Monday? Ooh, just all the way down. All the way down. Things were going down. Now, will it come back? Yeah, but here's the best part about real estate, guys. The best part about real estate, it's secured. It's got insurance, right? And even if you don't know all the ins and outs of it, even if you've learned about it or been to a few seminars about it or read a few books, the reality is, even if maybe you're hesitant about getting in, partner with someone. That's the best thing. Partner with someone to get that exposure. So you made a great point earlier about trust and partnerships, because I think that's what people can do when they align themselves with you, Dave, is because they can then say, okay, can I watch you? And I have a question about that, though. I know we can come back to the stocks and all that, but can people look over your shoulder when they work with you? What access? Is it just like, hey, nice to meet you, you trust me, and they're on their way? Or can they look over your shoulder? Can they learn more along the way?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
No, that's a great question. Look, when we're dealing with $100 million private equity fund, we're not in the kindergarten sandbox. Okay,
Right.
it's okay to have fun, but there's also an incredibly serious conversation that goes on behind this.
That's right.
So if you think about the investors who would invest in a fund like ours, they're accredited, they're high net worth individuals, and usually their time is committed elsewhere.
Right.
Like a lot of the accredited investors that we interact with are doctors and lawyers and high net worth individuals who are not only by their trade alone highly committed in time to their trade, but a lot of them have businesses. Like one of the doctors I talked to has his own education platform, and he teaches how to do certain procedures, not heart surgery over the internet, but certain cosmetic type procedures.
Yeah.
And that takes up a huge part of his time. So, looking over my shoulder, for most of our quality investors, it means the ability to know what their capital is doing at any period in time.
That's very true.
And the answer to that is yes. For all of my jokes around my inability to live in the technological world, Nate, I learned very quickly to let people who can do it do it. Our investor portals and the way that we manage our clients is it's almost like NASA to me, in the sense that our investors can go in at any time and with a couple of buttons see exactly what's going on with their capital.
Right.
We will do consistent informational webinars to let our investors know what we see in the market, what's happening now, what's happening in the future, where do we see challenges, where do we see pinch points. So, looking over our shoulder from the standpoint of a fund manager, they have access to the same data that we have access to.
Yeah.
They have the ability to, ask questions at any time,
Right.
either live, over a phone, through a webinar format like this. It's interesting, man. There's an old adage, right? Bad news travels fast.
True.
Okay.
True.
So
It travels faster than good
realistic.
news. Travels faster than good news.
It's a sad thing, but it's the
Yeah.
truth. But
Yeah.
communication.
That's exactly what I was going to
If
say.
people aren't told anything, dude, they start to create stuff. It's the
Yep.
human disposition.
So true.
So looking over our shoulders, participating with us.
So true.
I have this. I don't know if you can see my elbows or not. Probably not. But
No.
I got this imagery in business of locking arms.
Yeah.
And we go together.
Right.
We go together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in front. I'm gonna take the heavy hits because I've got the experience to take it.
Yeah.
But participation in the process is important. Our investors feel like they're a part of, and I don't want to be corny, but a part of a family, right? A
Yeah.
part of a group of cool peeps doing cool stuff
Yeah.
and making money at the same time.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's the image.
You bring up a great point. I'll give even real life examples of what I've been doing, and I've done in the past with other projects, but with this current project, I'm at my project every day. I take videos every day. Now, I have public videos. Someone can go to my YouTube and they can see the public video that I do. A little bit different than what I do with my private investors. And I literally take my phone, I'm showing them different things behind the scenes, and I'm walking them through the progress. And then you know what they tell me every time? This is great. I love this. And that's the kind of communication really important in bigger projects when people are is that how you call them, Dave? I'm just curious. Do you call your partners passive investors, or do you give them a different title?
No, they're passive investors, Nate.
Okay.
They're passive.
Okay.
They commit capital to the fund.
Yeah.
The fund managers then deploy the capital, and they get distributions on their money. So, in the sense they're passive, they don't have to do anything physically, right?
Right. Right.
But active in the sense that they can at any time, get into what's going on with their capital. They can at any time interact with us as the fund managers. I was thinking while you were talking, I don't know if anybody else, did you ever in England, right, when we used to play soccer at break time, or we called it play time, right? You would line up and you'd pick two teams to play soccer, right?
Yeah.
And then you'd all line up in a row, and then the two best kids would pick their team,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
And it didn't happen to me often, but it happened every now and again. Like I wouldn't get picked.
No way. No way. Stop it. Stop it.
Sure, stop it. There are times when I wasn't picked, right? But let me ask you a question. If I remember what that feels like. I remember what it feels like to be on the outside looking in,
Yeah.
knowing that what was going on inside there was pretty darn cool,
Right.
and I wanted to be a part of it.
Right.
And our investors are on the inside looking out. Like they've got an inside track on what does post-COVID look like?
Right.
Why is Florida the right market to invest in? They've got inside track on higher rates of returns than a lot of other vehicles targeted in the marketplace. They've got an inside track on what does it take to be the leader in the industry, right? And then align themselves with that. And it gives them some pride as well, man, to feel good about what their capital is doing. So they're on the inside looking out rather than on the outside looking in. Does that make sense?
Oh, it totally makes sense. And I'll give it even a deeper perspective of that. Like, okay, I've hung out with a lot of affluent people over my years, not only for networking, for raising money for deals, but also my peers. And there's a little bit of ego that can get involved sometimes, okay, especially especially from guys where they'll, where we'll be having dinner and, and all of a sudden they're like, yeah, here's Nathan. And yeah, he's got me in on this deal, right? And there's that little bit of pride that comes in. And it's part of it. But you know what? You want your clients to feel that way. You want them, I call it national pride, right? You want them to have that pride that this is good, right? And I'm proud that I'm involved in this transaction, right?
Yeah, we create a community. It's almost like raving fans, right?
Right.
To make a capital contribution to a fund like ours, the investors have to get approved.
Yeah.
And they're approved not only for their accreditation,
by the looks.
I'm
kidding.
That's such a terrible thing to say. What is wrong with you?
I'm kidding.
They're approved for their accreditation financially.
Right.
But you know what? There's an interview process, Nate. I mean, there's got to be some. There's got to be some vibe in there.
Right.
I've found, and I don't know if I upset anybody. I'm going to be direct. I am who I am. But I've found that high level finance seems to always come with an air of arrogance and pretension. And I honestly believe it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
My blue collar attitude in a white collar world has not hurt me. I would rather not have some capital come into our fund if it's got pretension attached to it.
Yeah.
Now there's a difference between pretension and protection. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I understand. Hey, here's my capital infusion. Now protect it.
Right.
Which is why our PPMs and our descriptions, our business plans, our credibility, our process, our system, our team is so critically important for somebody to do their due diligence on. Yeah. Because at the time of deployment of capital, there is no pretension. I show you the protection. Now let's see if there's a fit.
So I have a question here that came in last week that we could cover right now because it'd be really important, right? And it was about protection, but PPM, right? So when we're talking about stocks, right? When someone invests in a stock, especially today on their phone, they have very little protection, right? So it's very little protection. So can you dive a little deeper into what the PPM is and protection?
Yeah. So a private placement memorandum is what it stands for, a PPM. That is a document that needs to be approved, if you will. It's got to be signed off by the Securities and Exchange Commission. And what a PPM is most PPMs are incredibly droll, right? It's just words and numbers and
legal jargon,
right? I believe honestly that attraction is critically important. So how do you attract somebody's interest? Well, we do it not only through our statistical deliverables in a PPM, but we also do it in some visual interactions, right? If you go to Freedom Venture Investments website, we're beginning to build that out a little bit. There's some nice video content that's going on there. There's a little video that we're working on. It's I don't know if it plays, Nathan, but just know that it's kind of like in a beta mode right now.
Okay.
But there's a little video on there that shows what Florida is like and why we like it and why we invest there. And our PPM, which is a story, think of it as a story. It's a story that we have, and it tells why the capital should be deployed with us. It talks about why the capital should go to work here in this specific geographic area.
Right.
It talks about what we target for returns to our investors. So it's an overview. It's it's an overview of our business plan. Now, protection.
Mm-hmm.
The protection comes through the fund manager's experience. You get it?
Yeah.
So you can invest capital with anybody. There's probably 1 million PPM sitting out there right now. Now, the quality of the assets is one. The quality of the asset managers is number two.
Yeah.
And their ability to execute on that plan needs to be, it's got to make sense.
Yeah.
Right? Got to make sense. I had a friend of mine say to me one time, what is the flow of a buying decision? Because if you think about what we do as entrepreneurs, right? We make decisions where we move tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, right? We move that much capital, right? And like that.
Right.
So it's like, well, how do you make those kinds of decisions? Well, the first question is always, does it make sense?
Right.
Because if an asset investment doesn't make sense to an investor, they're not going to do it. So if it makes sense, if the deliverables make sense, then the next question is, well, can I do it? Well, I know I can do it. I'm not sure if the investor can individually do it. So the investor says yes or no. If they say no, I can't do it, but he can. Now I got two yeses. It makes sense and they can do it, right? Right? After that, the question is it honest? Is it legal? And is it ethical? Let's get those three squared away. That's critical, right? That's the foundation. And if I can say yes to all of those things, then the last question is should I invest or not? Well, what's the answer to the question, Nathan? The answer is what? Yes. It makes sense.
You hit all three.
Can do it.
You hit all
honest,
three.
It's ethical. Then I do it.
Absolutely.
So that's the protection. The protection is in the sensibilities between the investor and the fund managers to be successful.
Absolutely. It's got to be a synergy. And there's a lot of people who they have the trust, they hear the protection, they know there's protection there, and they just want to move money. I like the way you said that. You're moving money and you're saying, I trust him. I know he's going to do some good work for me. And they're too busy. Like, don't get me wrong. It's great to give updates and communication, but sometimes I have investors that check in like once a year. Like, you know what I mean? They don't check in as often. And sometimes for investors who want to take that passive position, they may not, they just want quarterly updates or, biannual updates. And that's about it. And that's okay too, So actually, hold on. Sorry. There's a question here. Richard Held Jr. is asking if he can chat with you directly next week. Is that possible? How would he do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
For a small
grab
fee.
me on LinkedIn, Richard. We're still finalizing the flow of information, but if you grab me on LinkedIn, on my LinkedIn page, Dave Seymour, Freedom Venture Investments.
Okay.
Just jump on there and say, hey, I want to connect. I'll connect, and then we can go offline, share some information, and have a conversation. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Also, and also people can go to the website too, right?
Yeah, Freedom Venture Investments. We're actually, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I wrote a book. I think I told you this. I just finished writing a book.
No, wait. You're a best-selling author how many times now? 2 times? 3 times?
I wrote a book with a friend of mine, John Dessauer. Johnny Dessauer is he's just a fantastic investor out of the Chicago market. He's been a very dear friend of mine for a long time, but he's got a huge property management company, realty company, investment company. And Johnny and I put together, not a heavy read. It's called Unlocking the Code to Multifamily Investing.
Okay.
If you go to the Freedom Venture Investment site, there's a free download there. It's an ebook download. Look, we're all intelligent. It's a chance to grab some information and start some communication. Yeah. But it's a nice read. It's a nice read. It's free. There's a chance to jump on there as well. The caveat to that is this. If you don't get a response email immediately, it's because we're still finishing up the last couple of edits before those smart people, Eric Wilson, if you're listening. It's those smart people who connect all of that stuff, right? But there's another chance to reach out to us there on the website as well at freedomventureinvestments.com.
Oh, that's awesome.
LinkedIn, anyone. If you want me bad enough, you can find me. That's a promise.
Yeah. Also, John McKeon. John McKeon says, Dave.
Johnny McKeon.
You know, Dave, you the man.
Johnny and I used to ride the paramedic truck together. And
oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, that Johnny became Mr. Mom. It's funny, John and I, it's funny, there's the firehouse is a very dynamic world, brother.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah. You used to tell me it was like a brotherhood. I remember these stories, Dave. You would tell me it was like a brotherhood.
Yeah, and
you
then
guys would cook for each other.
And then brothers fight.
Of course. Did you fight with him? Did you fight with John?
Not with Johnny.
No, all right.
Johnny and I left the fire department. He left to be Mr. Mom, which I think was a tougher job than the one I left for, which was to be a reality TV star. I think Mr. Mom was harder than that. But I think John's wife was either an attorney or a doctor, and he figured his way out, man. And just a solid guy. So nice. Johnny, I love you, brother. I miss you.
Nice,
we got out of the fire department.
Yeah, we made it.
Not that it was a bad thing to be in the fire.
No,
I got
right.
friends still in, a couple of guys that I know and love. So
definitely an admirable thing to do. Yeah, anything with service, law enforcement, and fire department, EMT. You were an EMT too, right?
Yeah. John and I worked on the paramedic together. That's fun. Somebody dying in front of you, and you got to make sure you get the right drug out of the box and find a vein in the side of their neck.
God,
a lot of props.
That's not fun. Oh man, well, Dean Reed, he also says that he'd love to run some Vegas deals. From you and him and his partners through Dave at some point. Yeah, so Dean, you could get over to Dave either through LinkedIn or
Dean Red's got my info. Yeah. Stuff. Yeah.
Oh, and John McKeon is laughing his head off. He's laughing like crazy.
That's because she's been taking care of you for years, John. That's why you're back.
Oh man. Oh goodness. Dave, we got some locals, some previous locals. Helen Miser from the United Kingdom, South Wales.
Hello, Ellen.
She's saying hello. Good to have you.
Ellen.
Good to have you here.
All right.
Awesome.
That's good.
So, Dave,
do you have that slide? Because you want to talk about
that's what protection. I was going to ask you next. Yeah, I was going to say I wanted to bring up this slide. It's right on the screen right now. Yeah.
Okay. So look on this slide. I put this one together myself.
Oh, you did yourself?
Well, I kind of copied from somewhere else and then I made it.
Okay.
Why are you being like that? I think I need to preface this a little bit. This is not a call to bash the stock market. This is not a, stock market sucks. This is the only way to go, because I don't believe that to be true. We take, as you can see on this slide, we take 20-year data as investors, because every investment will predict itself by looking backwards. Okay, which is kind of contrary, right? How do I know what's going to happen next? By looking back, because it's cyclical. The stock market is cyclical. Real estate is cyclical. There is no right or wrong. I got a friend of mine who's a day trader. He does options. And, we were having some fun one time, and he challenged me, and he said, I can make more money than you in one day. And I thought to myself, guy's probably right. He went on, did some trades, some options, go long, go short, go left, go right. I don't even know what the hell he does, right? But he's an incredibly smart guy. He's done a lot of training himself, and day trading, and he killed it. He killed it in one day, and he could kill it. He can kill it when the market's going down because he knows what he's doing, and he can kill it when the market's going up. But the challenge has always been this: is that if we talk again about the investors that are out there, they're not really sitting there day trading. That's a professional stock market investor.
Right.
The number one retirement investment strategy in our country, Nathan, is the 401k plan.
That's so true.
And that 401k plan has been sold to the American people.
Well, most of the time it's like the only option people know. Like when someone goes into the workforce, right? You take a high school, then you take graduate, they start hearing about 401k even in university, college, right? So when they get their job and they hear their employer saying, hey, you can contribute to your 401k plan and we'll match it, they're thinking, matching? They're going to pay me more.
What, Nathan? Here's what we'll do. We'll do a call just on that.
Okay.
We'll do a call just on that.
Yeah.
I learned some things and some insights. And again, not to beat on anything.
Mm-hmm.
There's no right or wrong. Buddy of mine, Johnny DiGiulio, is an investor in Chicago. He always says there's no right or wrong. There's only left or right. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's not a case of hurting any other investment strategy.
Mm-hmm.
But if the slide is still up there,
Yep,
the bottom of the graph is showing the percentage of risk, if you will, all the way up to like 25% risky, all the way down to 0% risky.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you go up the left side of the graph, it's looking at returns,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you can see between small caps, large cap, bond, all of them will show you what the 20-year performances look like.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you go to the top left-hand corner of that graph and you look at commercial real estate, it shows you that commercial real estate has been in the low-risk category,
Mm-hmm.
high-risk returns over that 20-year period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Did it take a beating in 2009 and 10 and 11? Yeah. But so does the stock market. But the stock market is doing this consistently.
All the time. Yeah, exactly.
Consistently. So, those are just, it's data points, man. They're numbers. But if investors are only given one side of an equation, if they're only given one side of a story, right? You've got to have an E-Trade account if you want to be a millionaire and have a big boat. I mean, it gets a little ridiculous.
A lot has to do with education. I'll put it this way. Some people just don't know, right? They're so focused on their career when they're going through college and stuff. They're career driven. So they're just like, okay, let me put some, of course, let me spend some, and then let me put some away. So they keep building on this 401k that doesn't have their best interest. It has the brokers and funds, those other funds, which are very volatile.
Wall Street is the engine behind the 401k. And again, I'm going to keep saying this because it's so important. This isn't designed to give anybody the aggravation and push them away. It's just education. Wall Street sold 401ks.
Yeah.
The story and the history of 401ks is pretty interesting. Like I said, we'll do a training
definitely.
on it. But if that's all you know, that's all you know. But
so
you can ask the flippant one-time. You can ask the flippant one-time questions.
Yeah.
Prior to 2008, you had a 401k. In 2009 and a half, 10, you had a 201k. Then it came up again to like a 301 or a 401k. Well, guess what? Now it's now they're taking a beating again.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. It's real simple. There's zero control to the investors in that environment.
That's right.
The day trader, the educated investor, the guy who likes to pick a few stocks and play a game, that's great. They've got some control in it.
Yeah.
And compare that alongside to the consistency of commercial investing,
right?
Multifamily, right? We can compete with that consistently over a long run.
In a much more secure environment, less volatile environment, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Do you still have the slide up, or am I back on live again? Because I got to put my shirt back on.
The slide is now down, but it was up for a good portion there. Yeah.
Still here.
By the way, Tess says experience funding, like FUN funding, as it should be. That was her line.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So,
hey, Tess.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely think that play on word of fun and
I think we could have some fun with it. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
Putting back the fun in funding.
Put back the fun in fun. We're putting back the fun in funding.
In funding. Taking the pretension out of your principle. Oh, how you doing? I'm just getting warmed up here.
Good stuff. Dave, this has been fun. This has been literally fun. And educational, and also I can see we've helped a lot of people. We have some new connections. That's great. And by the way, everybody, this is it for today. We're going to be back next week, same time, Dave. Are we coming back at 1?
We're coming back at 1:30. We're gonna stay consistent to 1:30 on Fridays.
1:30
Cash Flow Show with Nate Dave, rocking and rolling, baby.
1:30 Eastern time zone. I know we got people from all over the world watching now, right? Yeah. So 1:30 Eastern time zone. We'll be back. Dave, such a good time today, and we'll see everybody next week.
Always, brother. Bye.
All right.